In business, marketers fear price hike as federal government suspends sale to Dangote. On the foreign scene, US, Russia start ceasefire talks in Saudi Arabia. And in sports, cricket, Nigeria ready as countries arrive Lagos for World Cup qualifiers. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the Global News Express, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I'm Queen Agaba. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365, Star Times channel 276, and free to air on Nightcomsat. You can also download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has formally received a petition from constituents of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan calling for the commencement of her recall process. The secretary to the commission, Rose Oriara Anthony, received the petition, which was submitted at INEC's headquarters in Abuja. Natasha, who represents Kogi Central in the Senate, is currently on suspension for allegedly flouting the Senate rules. According to the petitioner, over 250,000 constituents signed the petition out of about 480,000 registered voters in the senatorial district. The petition is titled Constituents Petition for the Recall of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan on grounds of loss of confidence. The suspended governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, has distanced himself from militant groups threatening the federal government over the political crisis in the state. Fubara, in a statement signed by his chief press secretary, Nelson Chukudi, regretted that people are trying hard to link him to militant groups. He noted that communities where the reports of explosions were reported have dismissed the claims of attacks on oil facilities, stating that the whole claims were targeted at his person. Ahead of the 2027 general election, the recently formed broad-based coalition of opposition leaders says it is on the verge of reaching a final consensus on its structure and modus operandi. Its main hurdle has been finding an alternative political party. The coalition noted that while some individuals are raising the issue of zoning, the matter has not been formally discussed at its meetings. It added that at this stage of negotiations, the main focus is around getting leaders to agree to work together ahead of the upcoming elections. The federal government says it will learn power generation and transmission from Egypt, which it described as a role model in the sector. The government also has reaffirmed its commitment to rural development through improved electricity access. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, disclosed this during a recent meeting in Abuja with the Egyptian ambassador of Nigeria, Mohammed Fouad. 12 inmates have escaped in a jailbreak in the early hours of Monday in Kogi State. Kogi State government confirmed this in a statement issued by the Commissioner for Information and Communication, Kingsley Femi Fanwo. He commended the swift response of security agencies to the jailbreak at the Federal Correctional Center in Koton Cafe, where 12 inmates escaped. Fanwo described the incident as unfortunate and assured citizens that the state government is taking decisive steps to prevent a recurrence. 3 of the 12 inmates who escaped during a jailbreak at Koton Cafe Correctional Center in Kogi State have been arrested. The Acting Controller General, Nigeria Correctional Service, Sly Nwakuche, disclosed this during a press briefing at the Cotton Cafe Correctional Center. He regretted that one of the officers of the Correctional Service was killed by the escaped prison inmate. Nwakuche vowed that the remaining escapee will be apprehended. He called on the general public to provide security agencies with all the needed information that will lead to the arrest of all the prison inmates who escaped from custody. The leader of Center for Democracy and Development, Ibrahim Yakubu, has called on President Bola Tinubu to declare a state of emergency in Zamfara State for a minimum period of 6 months, alleging that the Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal is involved in anti-democratic actions against members of the State House of Assembly. The centre condemned the governor's alleged undemocratic actions at a press briefing in Abuja. The Niger Delta Progressive Youth Leadership Foundation has called for a peaceful resolution to the ongoing political crisis in Rivers State, while raising concerns about the legality of the state of emergency declared by President Tinubu. They stated this while briefing journalists in Abuja. Our political correspondent, Ediken Michael, has the report. Well, we'll bring you that report subsequently. The Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Dele Alake, has declared that there will be no hiding place for illegal miners in the country as efforts to strengthen operations of the mining marshals and ensure nationwide coverage are in the offing. Addressing a press conference to mark the one-year anniversary of the Corps, the minister emphasized that the establishment of the mining marshals last year has significantly disrupted unauthorized mining activities and restored investor confidence in the sector. Hosanna Okorafor has details.
The Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dr. Dele Alake, explained that activation of the Corps is to enforce provisions of the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act has struck fear into illegal operators, largely curbing their operations and serving as a deterrent. Assessing the impact of the mining marshals over the past 1 year, the minister stated that 2,220 corps at inception, which has now been scaled up to 2,670 operatives, have raised awareness of the enforcement capacity of the federal government to combat illegal mining, establishing considerable deterrence among illegal miners, and contributed to substantial increase in revenue generated from the sector.
Specifically, on March 21st last year, the solid minerals sector witnessed the implementation of a critical element of our 7-point agenda for domestic consolidation and international competitiveness, and that's the activation of the mining marshals. The core of 2,220 officers that formed the pioneer mining marshals have increased over time by 450. They are now 2,670 as of today.
While the Marshals' operations have been somewhat hampered by logistical constraints, Alake reassured that with the increased budgetary allocation for the ministry in the 2025 fiscal year, such limitations will be addressed.
Corporate collaborators encourage deeper excavation and scale up this illegality and criminality. So the above definition of the enemy necessitated a training schedule that empowered the mining marshals with the strategic and tactical skills to combat and overwhelm its targets.
It will be recalled that the Federal Executive Council (FEC) recently approved 2.5 billion naira for the deployment of satellite technology to enhance the security architecture of the mining sector, which will consequently aid the operations of the mining marshals. Hosanna Okorafor reporting for Global Television.
You're watching the live broadcast of News Express. When News Express returns, marketers fear price hike as federal government suspends sale to Dangote. Details of this coming shortly right after the break. Please stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. If you've just joined us, this is Global Television bringing you live broadcast of the News Express. In business, following the Dangote Petroleum Refinery's suspension of the sale of petroleum products in Naira, some filling stations have started stockpiling premium motor spirit, otherwise known as petrol. The retailers are storing the product to ensure they have enough to sell at a higher rate, having projected that the price of petrol would go up soon as a result of the failure of the federal government to continue the sale of crude oil to the Dangote refinery in the local currency. However, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria warned these retailers to stop panic buying as they may run into heavy losses. Bitcoin and other leading cryptocurrencies extended their gains, buoyed by positive investor sentiment despite concerns over upcoming U.S. tariffs and key economic data releases later this week. As of 7 a.m. West African time, Bitcoin rose 3.2% to $86,590, while Ethereum gained 2.3%, trading at $2,047. The global cryptocurrency market capitalization increased by 2.94% in the past 24 hours, reaching $2.84 trillion. The Association of Table Waters Producers of Nigeria, ATWAP, Ogun State Chapter, has disclosed that more than 25% of its members have shut down operations in the past year due to an increasingly harsh business environment. Speaking in an interview, the association chairman, Babatunde Lawal, highlighted the challenges including poor power supply, multiple taxes, and a lack of supportive government policies, among others. He says the challenging operating conditions had driven many water producers out of business. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, has urged filling station owners to implement robust fire safety measures to prevent outbreaks and minimize loss of lives and property. Speaking in Enugu, the chairman of IPMAN's Enugu Depot Unit, Chinedu Anyaso, emphasized the importance of fire precautions in the oil and gas sector, particularly in the regions under his jurisdiction. The Enugu Depot Unit oversees petroleum marketers in Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, and parts of Abia, Imo, Kogi, and Cross River states. On the foreign scene, Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa, Chairman CEO Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, has applauded the Ontario Nigerian community leaders for setting up the Nigerian Immigration Welcome Center, which is set to be launched soon. She commended them for this initiative aimed at providing support for fellow Nigerians in Canada in need of assistance. Dabiri called the other Nigerian communities globally to emulate this support structure set up by community leaders in Ontario. Uche Okugo, President's Network of Nigerians in Canada, remarked that the initiative will provide tailored services for prospective and current Nigerian immigrants in Canada to enable them adjust to their new environment quickly and contribute meaningfully to the society. Russian and United States officials have launched talks in Saudi Arabia's capital, Riyadh, on a 30-day partial ceasefire in Ukraine. The discussions in Riyadh comes hours after a round of negotiations between Ukrainian and U.S. delegations. On the agenda is a halt in long-range attacks against energy facilities and civilian infrastructure in both countries, as well as a pause on assaults in the Black Sea. Meanwhile, the fighting continues with both Ukraine and Russia accusing each other of launching overnight drone attacks. Israel's relentless bombardment of Gaza continues with at least 61 Palestinians killed in attacks across the Strip over the past 24 hours reporting period. The renewed assault comes hours after Israeli forces bombed the Nasser hospital in Gaza, killing at least 2 people, including Hamas's leader Ismail Bahoum. Gaza's health ministry says at least 50,082 Palestinians are confirmed dead, with 113,408 wounded in Israel's war in Gaza. Gaza's government media office updated its death toll to more than 61,700, adding that thousands of Palestinians missing under the rubble are presumed dead. The Turkish government says 1,000 133 people have been arrested in 5 days of protests across the country. It says people have been abusing the right to protest and warns that terrorizing the streets will not be tolerated. Protests began when Istanbul's mayor Ekrem Imamoglu, an opponent of President Erdogan, was detained on Wednesday on corruption charges. Imamoglu says the charges are politically motivated. Raul Jimenez scored twice as Mexico snatched a last-gasp 2-1 victory over Panama to win CONCACAF Nations League for the first time. Fulham striker Jimenez, who had also bagged a brace in a semi-final win over Canada, slotted a stoppage time penalty to settle a pulsating final battle at SoFi Stadium. Mexico's win was tinged with controversy, though with the final halted by match officials in the closing minutes due to homophobic chantings from Mexican fans. The highly anticipated ICC Under-19 Men's World Cup Africa qualifiers is set to commence in Lagos on Friday, with teams gathering up for an intense battle for the continent's sole ticket via the qualifiers to the World Cup. As preparations reach a crucial stage, Namibia are the first team expected to touch down in Lagos on Tuesday to join host Nigeria. Namibia's early arrival will be followed by other participating teams, Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, and Sierra Leone, who are expected to all arrive on Wednesday. The event, scheduled to take place from March 28 to April 6, 2025, will be hosted at the Tafawa Balewa Square Cricket Oval and the University of Lagos Cricket Oval in Akoka. Chelsea and Liverpool are allegedly prepared to offer as much as £75 million to sign Atlanta BC's Ademola Lookman in the summer transfer window. The former Fulham winger has been on the radar of top clubs in Europe since breaking out, with Lade memorably scoring a historic hat-trick in his side's Europa League final win over Bayer Leverkusen last season. Lookman has continued his rich vein of form this season with 18 goals and 7 assists from 32 games in all tournaments. The 26-year-old will be out of contract in 2026 if Atlanta decides not to activate a 1-year extension option, and his scarcely believable clash with coach Gian Gasperini has fueled speculation surrounding a summer exit. Former Liverpool winger Jermaine Pennant has tipped Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen as the game changer for Chelsea if they eventually lure him to Stamford Bridge. Osimhen has constantly linked with a transfer to Chelsea for the last 2 years due to his brilliant performance for Napoli and Galatasaray, and the Nigerian turned down the chance to join them last summer over personal terms. Former Liverpool winger Pennant believes that Osimhen would put up incredible numbers for Chelsea and possibly lead the team to silverware. As Global TV News Express comes to an end, let's take a quick recap as some of our top stories. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has formally received a petition from constituents of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan calling for the commencement of her recall process. In business, following the Dangote Petroleum Refinery suspension of the sale of petroleum products in Naira, some filling stations have started stockpiling premium maltose spirit, otherwise known as petrol. On the foreign scene, Russian and United States officials have launched talks in Saudi Arabia's capital, Riyadh, on a 30-day partial ceasefire in Ukraine. And in sports, we told you the highly anticipated ICC Under-19 Men's World Cup Africa qualifiers is set to commence in Lagos on Friday, with teams gearing up for an intense battle for the continent's sole ticket via the qualifiers to the World Cup. That's it on Global TV's News Express. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. You can also watch Global TV on DSTV channel 365, on StarTimes channel 276, and free to air on Nightcomsat. Also download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. I am Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching and see you again.
Do you know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.